What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back today with more Danmachi. And guys, I just have to fess up. This record buster, I simply do not have the team to get top marks. It is a thing. I've just skipped too many banners, and frankly, I just haven't whaled as much as I used to. So, and that there's various reasons for that, but neither here nor there. It's brought me to an interesting question, and that question is the water team. Now, I know I showcase this team a lot. It just is my favorite team right now in the game, and we've tested a few teams over and over and over again, and I don't think anybody still. Yeah, I want to emphasize this. 8 months from the anniversary where they were introduced, I still don't think anybody has quite touched this team yet. Now, Dark might be really, really, really close. I got to go test Dark out. Dark has the potential, but if you guys spec into water, the way I told you to spec into water back when the anniversary dropped, then this team might be able to net a whole bunch of people some really phenomenal points. So I want to go through here. I want to basically utilize this team, and I want to see if I'm right in my presumption that this team really is what they should and intend to be. So, and the fact there's a surprise in this team that you might not be expecting, but neither here nor there. Let's get down to it. Let's go into this fight, and let's see what happens. Now, the other half of this coin, the main reason that I brought this up, I was thinking about power creep, and I was thinking about all that kind of stuff, and it came to my realization that this team is old. By all accounts, this is an old team for, a gacha game with the kind of power creep this game has. And we're coming up really quickly on 5th anniversary. And as you guys know, with these anniversaries, they always introduce a new team. They always power creep everything. It's pretty wild. The anniversary always introduces something nuts. And I want to see if this team really stands up the way that they did. I think 2 months ago was the last time we actually really flexed them in a record buster. And we've had a lot of really nutty units drop in the game. So I'm not sure if they'll actually be able to do what I think they're going to do, but indeed, I kind of hope so. Now, armament-wise, obviously I have their best weapons on them. As far as armors go, I have the earth coats on them, but none of the earth coats, except for one, are ascended. I just don't have the resources right now to get them upgraded, even if I did ascend them. So the honest answer is, I'm running mostly level 60 earth coats, but every unit is maxed. I'm a broken max starred, and we've got her. We've got Winnie, and we've got her for one very, very important reason. But first, let's get through turn one. Obviously, we're going to do Spotlight with Line, and we're going to do Skill 1 with both Eyes and... Aisha and Belle. Now, Mikoto's an interesting situation. I'm going to go ahead and do her Skill 3. Now, her Skill 1 does SA gauge charging, but bear in mind it is not a fast skill. So I'm going to use her Skill 3 to get basically that skill out, so that when we come to turn 4, we can remove those strength and magic buffs, and everything will be kosher. Now, the main reason I'm not using her SA gauge charging and I'm using Line's is because Mikoto's is not a fast skill. Line's is a fast skill, and she's got a lot of agility. Odds are pretty good she's going to get her attack out before anybody else, so most likely Belle and Aisha, before they do their attacks, actually do have that 33% SA gauge charge. So we are SA gauge charging from the get-go, from the very beginning. Mikoto, on the other hand, if she had done it, we wouldn't got our SA gauge would be half what it is now. So it's very important to use a unit that gets a fast skill. Now, with Mikoto, I've got to buff her up, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of kick this off by doing a debuff. Actually, I'm going to do her buff. I don't think it's important as of yet to do the debuff. Let's see, is her debuff a fast skill? It is a fast skill. So we're going to go ahead and do her Skill 1. Main reason is because we don't need the 33% SA gauge charge, but she does need her buffs. So I'm going to do her Skill 1 kind of out of our normal realm of order. Everybody else is going to move on to their Skill 2. And Winnie, on the other hand, is going to do Morning Flight. Normally, you'd kind of expect me to buff single target and all target damage. But I'll be honest with you, since all those debuffs get removed, I'm going to go ahead and give HP regen. If we don't get HP regen on this turn, by the time we get to turn 4, we will be so badly damaged and so badly hurt, we will not be able to survive the basic hits in order to get to basically the end of the match. So that HP regen you just saw there is critical to our survivability. Now, of course, Haruhime is going to come in. She's going to do Dawn Wind. That's going to give everybody HP heal on every subsequent turn. So turn 4, we need HP heal, but we need the regen at the end of this turn that Haruhime won't give. Now, she does counter heal, but I'm not relying on her counter heal quite yet. In fact, I've had it fail quite a bit. So Winnie's, her HP regen is paramount. So Dawn Wind, everybody else is going to go do their big single, except for Mikoto, who's going to go ahead and do her debuff. Now, her debuff gets out there before Belle and Mikoto both do their attacks, so it is going to be effective on this fight, and there we go, we got some of that healing. We are now in a pretty good state. We have an AoE debuff, or AoE resistance buff on our opponents. We've got Strength and Magic down on, should have at least, yeah, 40% Strength and Magic down. We've got, water resistance down, agility down, physical down, magic resistance down. Everything looks really good, and our health is in a pretty good state. So now I need to make sure that I focus on Mikoto's skill 3 so that I keep the his strength and magic buffs at bay. We really need those strength and magic buffs gone, and we need them gone quickly, basically before the SA happens. Now the downside is her skill is not a fast skill. I kind of wish it was. If it was, this would be a lot better. We might take a couple of hits. It's not going to feel great, but hopefully Haruhime will be able to heal us and be able to basically get us into the SA with full health, so we don't have any problems. But that's the one big downside here. But strength and magic buffs will be gone when she attacks, and you know that because we go here. Azure Flash is 1 turn left. So we've got to make sure we keep that in play. We've got to keep that buffed and keep that action going. Other than that, let's just go ahead and do our big singles with everybody. And with Haruhime, I'm going to go ahead and do her biggest attack. It's not really going to be all that important, but it is what it is. Actually, you know what? I'm going to just do Night Storm. Full disclosure, I don't recollect. I think he removes our buffs. I think it's kind of null no matter what we do here. But it might help our healing situation for this turn and things like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of err on the side of caution and do that. Because she's a wind unit and she's going to hit really well, but we haven't buffed her wind attack damage. We haven't buffed much of anything else. I don't think she's really going to be the end of the world either way. But I do, if I recollect, I think Finn removes our buffs here. I think the whole slate is wiped clean. So I don't think it's a life-changing decision to use one over the other. But, yeah, see, kind of my point there. Kind of my point right there. Like I said, the whole slate is pretty much wiped clean. So, all we've got left is Dawn Wind, and we're going to rebuff Dawn Wind because that's going to give us the AoE resistance. It's going to give us everything we need. Plus SA gauge charging and all that good stuff. And it's a fast skill, so basically it's going to happen before anybody else attacks, just like I kind of did with Line. Now, there's a reason I brought Haruhime in late game. It's a typical run with her. She does so much stuff, and her counter healing is so good, but to get some of the other stuff out there and to get some early damage, it's really better to use these guys this way. So, now, Azure Flash is in play, if you'll notice here. 3 turns left on that. So I can actually start from square one with her buff, just like everybody else. So we're going to go ahead and rebuff. Turn 1 for, or say skill 1 for everybody, except Haruhime, who's skill 2. And let's go. Now, because turn 8 is going to remove all the buffs and debuffs, we're going to save everything for a quad SA. I'm going to try to do a quad SA as early into turn 9, turn 10 as humanly possible. That is going to be our big hit, our big attack, and it is going to be a game changer at that point. That's when our real DPSs kick in. That's when things really pop off and when it gets absolutely serious. Now, let's just keep going, okay? So we got Dawn Wind. I'm going to go ahead and do Night Storm. Now, we just put debuffs on him. We don't really need to replicate those debuffs yet. In fact, it won't really matter because they're going to be wiped clean anyway. But getting the heal rate up, getting the guard rate and the counter rate and all that stuff up is going to be paramount here. In fact, I don't think she does guard rate. I think she just does counter rate. Yeah, critical rate, penetration rate, and counter rate, not guard rate. But MP heal and all that stuff is going to be really important. So we're going to utilize that. Everybody else is going to go to their turn 2 here. That's mostly either continuing the debuff stack or continuing the buff stack or doing debuffs. Once again, if you guys have watched this team work once, you've seen them work 1,000 times. Now, I'm noting here, there might have been a point at which I could have used an SA earlier, but I'm kind of hedging my bets on that quad. So we're going to soldier on down this path. We're going to keep going, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and do Blowing Wind. It really doesn't matter enormously what I do here, but I'm going to do Blowing Wind on this turn just basically to get a good hit in. Everybody else is going to go do their big singles, skill 3. In fact, everybody's doing skill 3. Even Haruhime is doing skill 3. It's a super class attack, but she doesn't really have any buffs. It's just a little tiny bit of extra damage. And really, we're in a situation here where, like, every little tiny bit counts. So you will notice that we have our pretty much everything massively buffed. So we're good here. Let's get through this turn, do our quad, and then rebuild, because that rebuilding process is going to be just so critical. So let's go. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and do Dawn Wind, because that's probably running out. Yep. And while that is, the SA gauge charge isn't really going to replicate, you'll see here why I'm going to be doing it. Basically, the extra actions are going to give us heals and status buffs, and that's going to be so unbelievably mandatory, so insanely mandatory. So, let's go. Dawn Wind. I could let it run out. It's like 6-1, half dozen the other, but I really kind of feel like I want that buff when I go back into the next turn, and I don't think there's anything more she's going to get out of doing her skill 3, so strategically I'm going to use that. Everybody else is going to do their big single. And remember, because Azure Flash is in play, the Strength and Magic buffs will be removed. So, let's go. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. And we got our quad SA. So, this is the perfect situation. This is exactly where I wanted to be. Just hopefully he doesn't get any criticals or penetration rates. Hopefully we survive this. And I emphasize hopefully because he hits like a truck. And remember, my armor is not ascended. Mikoto took a ton of damage, as she unfortunately tends to do. But we're here now. We've got this. Now, the downside is we do not have our AoE resistance. So I've got a choice to make here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to risk it. I'm going to go ahead and do Strength Magic 120%. Water attack damage 100%. This is just going to be a big single target attack. And this is going to be a big single target attack. Also, removes any kind of buffs, but there are no buffs in play. So let's just go ahead, hit him with everything. Actually, you know what? I happen to realize I thought one of these units did debuffs. I take that back. We're going to do Dawn Wind, and we're going to jump out here and just do our debuffs. This is going to be an all debuffing turn. So we got magic resistance, we got water resistance, and we got physical resistance. Except I realize I thought we had somebody on this team that did that, and we actually don't. So we need one more turn. We got to do those debuffs. I almost got ahead of myself there. So, let's go. Now, I'm a little worried about Mikoto, but hopefully she's good. We'll get our debuffs out here. We got some healing there. I'm watching Mikoto like a hawk. I really can't afford to lose her. Yes, we got the counter heals. Perfect. All the debuffs are in play. Now is our moment. I almost jumped the gun on this. I almost made a massive mistake. Now, I do want to emphasize, Mikoto is not going to shine here the way she normally would. Physical is down 95%. Magic is down 40%. But water is down so much, I'm going to take the risk, and I'm going to use Mikoto just because we have debuffed enough, and I still think she's going to hit pretty respectably. Aisha might outdamage her, probably will in fact, but I think it's damage worth risking, especially considering we've got, the bonus here being a quad damage situation. Okay, 1 mil out of Bell, that's pretty standard. 2.4 out of Aisha, and I'm hoping for at least 2.5 out of Mikoto. Ooh, 3-1. Nice. I didn't think she was going to hit that hard. So beautiful, beautiful damage there. Now, everybody's buffed up. Everybody's good to go. I'm going to go ahead and do Night Storm here. We shouldn't need to replicate debuffs until the next turn. So we can basically just focus on doing all of our single target attacks. So, in fact, she replicates debuffs. So we don't need that with Haruhime. We could go ahead and do Haruhime's big buff. Everybody doing their single targets. We're golden. Let's take this to the end, see what we get. It's one of the things I love about this team. Like, they do all the debuffing you need. They do strength and magic. They do everything across the board. They're just a jack-of-all-trades team. And that's where I think both the fire team and the dark team start to fall apart. I kind of think those teams... Now, to be fair, I'm lacking a little bit on the dark team. I wanted to get some testing out with them. But I kind of feel like unless you have a specific, time-limited unit from 2 flippin' years ago, you just don't have the same team with Dark. Now, Dark might be able to pull it off. It's a big if. But the reality is, this team jack of all trades. This team will do it all and then some. In fact, I wouldn't even say they're jack of all trades. I would borderline say they're master at the moment because they just are that good. Now, will they give us a top 500 score? That's the big question. So, we got to survive this SA. We're going to just basically continue doing our big hits. I can go back in here with Haruhime. Debuffs are replicated. He has buff strength and magic, but those are going to be gone here shortly. It is worth noting I really probably didn't need to buff strength and magic with Haruhime. I probably could have saved that attack. But for the sake of getting that big hit off, I think it was worthwhile. I don't think our numbers would have been the same. Everybody at this point's going to get 150 where they had 120 before. So there might have been some benefit to waiting and doing, a triple on turn 5 with these buffs. I just happened to realize that. I completely forgot that he applies that to the whole team. So I might have actually been able to get off some early SAs. I might actually even have a better team than I realized. Because notice, she's got strength 150, and Mikoto's got magic 150. So maybe waiting and doing the triple SA on this turn and doing it a double or so earlier might have its benefits. I haven't tried that, but let's see what this team produces, and maybe this kind of warrants a revisit. Let's see. Let's just see. Because I didn't even think about that. I've got to think about the justifications for this, because we had triple on turn 9, so maybe if we did one early SA... It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. It could work out brilliantly. It could work out terribly. It's just, it is what it is. Man, I'm second guessing myself here because I'm thinking like a Mikoto and Aisha combo SA on turn 8, or even a Mikoto SA. Well, see, we can't SA with Mikoto. An Aisha SA on turn 4 and turn 5, because then Mikoto wouldn't get her extra action, wouldn't remove the buffs. That would be bad. But an Aisha SA on turn 4 and turn 8 probably wouldn't have been a bad choice. I've got to mess with that. I just happened to realize that little mistake there. Sometimes the things that happen when you're making content, you look back and go, oh, well, yeah, duh, that would have worked. No! Why? Why did you do that? And Haruhime is going to die. We didn't remove the strength and magic buffs fast enough. Mikoto just simply did not move them quickly enough. That is just insanely unfortunate. And the sad reality is, I didn't even get all the way through this. We're top 1,000. So even with that major mistake, we're top 1,000. And that tells me completely that if I did the other run, I could easily have a top 500 score. No questions. So guys, if you're in my shoes and you're sitting here looking at your win team going, man, there's just no way, try the water team. I'm going to go back. I'm going to rerun this a couple of times. I'm going to try to get a better score out. But I'm going to be totally honest with you. If I ended right now with a top 1,000 score, dying on turn 12, I promise you in the next 48 hours, 36 hours, whatever, I'll be able to get a top 500 score with a team that has no business doing it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how potent these anniversary teams are and why. While right now, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you were not here for the anniversary. If you save your star bonds, if you save your iris, to an extent, because remember, we get enough iris. We get like 10 grand iris a month. If you save your star bonds, if you're diligent, and star bonds are probably the most critical item here. Remember, if we go here to shop, we go to special exchange, we go to gnome ticket exchange. You get gnome tickets just for completing every single story. Get 5,500 of each of the large items. You will max out your gnome tickets. And I've been terrible about it this year. I've not maxed out my gnome tickets on any story since the new year. I'm fixing that today. Every single story going forward is going to get maxed out. I just need all these star bonds for that upcoming. And these are completely free to play. Prepare now for the anniversary, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Like, comment, and share. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you haven't, consider hitting that old subscribe button. We no longer cover this. Of course, we always going to cover this. We not only cover this, but we cover several other gacha games as well. Probably one you play as well. So make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one, whichever game that happens to be.